Okay, good evening. This is June 8th, 2022, and this is the Village of Mamaroneck Planning Board meeting. We have two applications on our agenda tonight. But before we get there, let me first take attendance for the minute taker. And then we have minutes from our last meeting. Okay, we have planning board members, Seamus O'Rourke, Ellen Styler, Richard Littman, and Cindy Goldstein, and myself. We have our land use attorney, Teresa Bachner, building inspector, Frank Tavolacci, planner, Ashley Lai, consulting engineer, John Kellard, also from AKRF, Alicia Moore, and we have Brittany O'Neill, our land use board secretary, with us today. Susan Oakley from Terraville Landscaping is excused tonight. Okay, so we have before us minutes from the meeting of May 25th. I have some of them on page 3, but does anybody else have anything before we get to page 3? Okay, the bottom of page 3, after the public hearing was reopened, I made note at that time that we had received a email that hadn't been posted to the website because it came so late. But I think that we need to say that in the minutes because it just makes it sound like we just didn't post it to the website. So I would like to change the second sentence. Because it was received rather late, comma, the email wasn't posted to the website or seen by the consultants. Another email had previously been sent after the last meeting, which was posted. And just clarify that out so people don't read this and wonder why we didn't post the email that came late. Anybody else? Any problems with that? No?
Yep.
A motion to accept.
I've got, sorry, just one quick comment. I was checking them. I had to get it back up to see which page number it was on. But first of all, I think I want to win this week's typo challenge in the middle of in the middle of
I'm not contestant in the typo challenge.
in the middle of page 3. It says Miss Zaleski stated that shouldn't interfere, but I think it's that it shouldn't interfere, I assume. And the actual comment that I had is back on page 2, at the bottom of page 2, the last bit before the bold. There's kind of a list of things that I had gone through to confirm. So there's a sentence that says also the site is outside the 50-foot water course buffer. I would, if it's okay, I would just want to add and not in the wetlands buffer to that. And that's the only comment that I had.
Good one. Good additions. Now, there were no wetlands on the site, right? So we can say in a wetlands buffer instead of the wetlands buffer?
Yeah, sure. In a wetlands buffer. Yeah. And just because I know there was the one site plan or document that said there was a buffer and then it got amended later, but I think just to get it into the final minutes, if that's okay.
When we first started, we started looking at whether there were wetlands there and whatnot, and then we determined there weren't any, so but they got it early on. Okay, do I have a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Richard seconds. Okay, Seamus,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay. Okay, that brings us to the first item on the agenda, which is continuing site plan review of the application for 1010 Oriented Avenue for site plan approval for a new 2-story single-family dwelling, a cabana and a swimming pool, among other things that are being done on the site. So do we have someone from the applicant with us today to just bring us up to date on what was submitted and changed since the last meeting, which was just 2 weeks ago? Napier.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay.
Is Christina Zalezzi And can you move her up as panelist also?
Okay.
Okay, so just a brief summary, and Christina can correct me if I misstate anything here, but the only change made to the plan was to rerun some of the drain lines coming in the front yard to avoid root balls for the plant material that was there, and to make a direct connection for the one that was by the front decorative wall to tie directly into the system instead of going back to the plants and then coming back in.
That's correct.
I think there was one other minor change after we submitted that John had picked up, which was just fixing an invert. And aside from that, the plans are largely the same.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So that last one that's in the Keller Sessions comment is or is not addressed in the latest.
It is addressed.
We got corrections this week that corrected from John's memo. Yeah.
Yes, they were submitted on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Corrected the
They were posted and sent out. It was a minor change, so we allowed it to stay on the agenda. Okay, AKRF, you are recommending that we do a final site plan approval. Ashley, do you have anything else that you want to add?
No, that's correct. We were recommending that it be granted final site plan approval because they've addressed all of our comments as well as the comments of the other consultants.
Okay. John, do you have anything to add?
Nothing further.
And we do have a short memo from Susan Oakley from Terabella. We did, as mentioned when we were reviewing the minutes, receive an email late at the last meeting, and both John and Susan responded to the comments in that, and those responses were posted on the website as well, and were reviewed by the planning board before we, as obviously before we're making our final decision. Okay, planning board members, anybody have any other comments or discussion before we move forward with the resolution? I think we've talked a lot about this application.
I guess there's just one thing I just want to point out again, and I know the chair has pointed this out before. A lot of the neighbors' comments have appropriately focused on the clear cutting of this 1 acre lot. So, I mean, I'd like to think that will never happen again, but as much as we might like to, as a planning board, do something about that, we are not the code enforcement officers. We have absolutely nothing to do with any violations that may or may not have occurred on an applicant's property. So certainly if I guess the village decides to pursue this, that's up to them, because I think there's a question about even who did the clear cutting, and we're not involved in that. So I think this plan replaces a lot of the trees. Obviously the trees were mature. These are not mature trees yet. Hopefully they will get mature and they will provide the screening that the neighbors are looking for, and also deal with the stormwater issues. But any issues about the clear cutting is not within our purview. And I just wanted to say that one more time, because I think it's worth repeating.
And for all the neighbors who have been calling the village and communicating, actually even reached out to us this week with regards to the state of the property right now. I want to thank Brittany, who went above and beyond the call of duty and called the code enforcement people who were already being inundated with calls. And Brittany reports that the owner's been notified to mow the vegetation. I don't want to call it a lawn. It's not a lawn. I don't want to call them weeds, because they're not weeds either. They're plants. So it's just clean up. They're going to clean it up. But that's completely outside of the jurisdiction of the planning board and of the land use board. And thank you, Brittany, for taking the initiative to respond to the resident. Okay, that said, Anybody have any comments or questions with regards to the draft resolution that Teresa prepared for us? Went through several iterations yesterday. Yes. No? Nobody? Okay, yesterday was the time to make your comments. And I also see we've been joined by Dennis Drogan, our Assistant Building Inspector. He should be noted on the attendance. Dennis, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what time you got here, but you're here now. Okay, all right, so then we have this resolution before us. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
You two are the team. Okay.
Certain rhythm.
Cindy,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
Seamus,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you all very much for your attention.
Thank you. That brings us to the next item on the agenda, which is the application for an addition in a new pool at 415 Claflin Avenue. So now we need to promote Claflin Avenue people. And have them walk us through the changes from the last time we saw them.
Liam, is there anybody else besides Mike?
I'm here.
Is that it, or did you?
I think the owner is here as well. Vic Yadov.
Want to be promoted? Okay, who's gonna start? Just bring us up to date with the changes from the last time.
Michael, you want to start this?
Sure, not a problem. Good evening,
Thank you.
everyone. Michael Stein, Hudson Engineering, engineers of record for the project. So there were a couple comments that we were working to address with Keller Sessions Office. Is it okay if I share my screen? If I can.
Should allow you.
So one of the questions was about grading over along this side of the garage. We had added retaining walls over in this area to limit the amount of grading that would be required for the installation of the walls. Throughout there had also been some adjustments to the alignment of the driveway to make sure we had adequate space for turning radii. We had submitted a turning radius analysis demonstrating that the ability to pull in and pull into the garage as well as back out and drive back out of the driveway. And I think the one other issue was about adequate cover over top of the pipe to make sure that we had adequate coverage for traffic to go over top of the drainage piping, which we had submitted. And basically have gone through addressing all of Keller Sessions' comments. I know some of them were last minute, but relatively minor.
Okay. Anything else you want to highlight for us?
Those were the primary changes. Again, we're designing for the 25-year storm, from taking all the runoff from the addition and putting into a new stormwater management system along the right side of the property, including from any drainage from the pool.
Ashley, AKRF, want to weigh in on anything with this one?
So they did make some revisions to the plans in response to our comments, and all of our comments have been addressed. They were primarily about pool and some of the information and where it was provided. So that it seems our recommendation was to discuss the comments from Kellard Sessions and Susan Oakley because those seem to be more substantive.
What about the lighting plan? My notes say there was lighting, but I think originally there was, lighting wasn't indicated on the plan.
I've addressed that on the architectural drawings,
Okay.
which I can show you if you like.
Well, maybe we should just walk through it a little bit. It's things like lighting and sound tend to be things that the neighbors are interested in.
I understand. So I can share my screen here. Let's see here. Is that working? Okay, so here, let me just go quickly through all the drawings to the elevations that I worked on. Okay, the side elevation here, everything we have is recessed, so you really can't see any of it in interior lighting. Same on this elevation. On the rear elevation, and the front elevation at the bottom here is we have can lights. Basically, they shine up and shine down, but you cannot see the bulbs on them. I have a cut sheet, so there's one on either side of the front door, one on the side of the entry to the mudroom, and then on the back side facing the pool area, same thing in between all of these doors and windows.
And at the pool itself?
At the pool itself, there are going to be low-level downlights just around the pathways for walking. And Vic, are you putting lights in the pool? Well, when he's ready, I can show him. Upper right-hand corner here is the type of light we'd be using. Right there.
In the pool, we're going to put 2 lights in the pool on either end, but they're going to be inside the pool. We don't have any wall, like a parapet or, like any light columns around the pool. It's just going to be shrubbery.
So as you can see in here, here's the end of the pool at the guest space. So these right here are under overhangs, so they're going to shine up. And this is the unit that we're going to use, that size. You can see it a little better. They're about 5" by 12.5.
Okay. Anybody? Okay. John, I know you have some comments. We got a memo from you dated, updated on June 3rd, so we won't go over the comments. And I think Susan's, we have a memo from Susan as well. So let's try to walk us through some of your concerns.
Sure. The major change in the site plan since the last meeting was changing the driveway in front of the house from gravel to asphalt. And with that, Michael designed a stormwater system that would collect that water and transport it to the infiltrating system. And he's expanded the infiltration system from 15 units to, I believe it was 31 units. So he's almost doubled the size of the system. During our review, we came up with two main comments. One, we didn't feel that there was sufficient cover over portions of the drainage system. And we knew it was very critical because he had to jump through hoops to get the water from the garage over to the infiltration system. And the second, because he was filling in the driveway area, that fill extended over the root system of 3 of the trees that they're trying to save in the front and side yard. So those were our remaining comments. What was the cover over the pipe and the fill over the trees? I believe this afternoon, Mike's office sent us an updated set of plans, which now proposes, as Mike described before, the small walls along the edge of the driveway so that the fill will not extend over the root system of the trees. And he's provided a profile and grading of the driveway to show that he does have adequate cover and he can get the water over to the infiltration system to treat it.
Okay,
So he has satisfied my comment. He just came in late today.
okay. They'll have to be reviewed by the rest of us who haven't seen them yet for a future meeting. But
And my apologies, John, for the late the late submission.
That's all right. I was glad to see you.
last week's plans, right, okay. All right, so you're addressing, and I think that Susan's comments, I'll speak for her from her memo. I mean, obviously, she had concerns about covering up tree roots with fill, but also they're making sure that the tree protection was proper for all the trees, and that the tree preservation plan was complete, and then the tree protection information was shown on the drawings and things. So, yeah, I'm assuming that you saw that memo as well.
I can share my screen to show the landscaping plan that we've added more detail to. Would you guys like to see that?
Sure. It's easier for the public then to if anybody's watching or watching a video of this, it's easier for them to follow along and if you share the screen.
Yeah, let me see if I can share it. Do you guys see this? Do you see my screen?
You're gonna have to make it a little larger than that if possible. The print is a little small. Yes, okay.
See a bit better. So there's a few points from for the landscaping. One was a tree inventory. So this one highlights all the existing trees that have been clearly marked, and up here, the landscape designer, she's taken the full inventory of all the 16 trees that are on the plot, and then we also detail what's the current condition, which ones are going to be affected and which ones we're going to be preserving. And there's two that we're going to remove. It's number 5 and number 16. And I'll show you where they exist on the land. So there's one here, which is, I believe that's an 8-inch diameter tree. And then this one here is a 5-inch hemlock. These two are going to be impacted. We're going to remove them. And the rest of them we're preserving. And then the planting, this is the new layout, where we're showing what we're planting. So as per the town guidelines, the 2 trees we are removing, they are sub 12-inch, so they do not need to be replaced. But we are putting in 13 new trees, which we're showing here. And they're all 2.5-inch or more. So as per the guidelines, we don't need to replace the 2 trees we are removing, but we're adding 13 new trees, which are shown in this plan here.
Our landscape architect consultant noted that the trees that are being removed, there's some discrepancy in one part of the record. They're noted as 6-inch DBH, and in another part, they're noted at 8-inch DBH. And 8-inch, anything 8-inch or over do need to be replaced. Now you've got the replacement regardless of whether they're 6 or 8 inches, but that
Right.
it should be corrected and there should be one number that applies instead of, just so the record is clear about the size of the trees. Okay. So that's one of the trees being removed is, and it could just be a typo or whatnot, but just correct it wherever it shows in the record. Whether it's 6-inch or 8 inches. Okay, but you have a copy of the memo. I don't need to read it. So
Yeah, no, I have it. Yeah.
it's posted on the village website for anybody who wants to This was the first time we've had an application that needed to do a tree preservation plan under the new tree law. So you're the first.
No, we've got enjoying the landscaping plans.
Yeah, okay,
Happy to do it.
okay, thank you. Okay, you can, yeah. Any members of the planning board have any questions, comments, concerns? We obviously are going to have to come back with today's version of plans and making sure that Susan's comments are addressed as well. Would anybody have anything else to add for the applicant? No? No?
Yes, Kathy, there was the merger of the two separate.
Oh, yes, the merger of the lots. How do we go about doing that?
So I've engaged a lawyer, and I think she's reached out to the village saying that she's working on it. I'll follow up with her where she stands in the process.
Great.
It has to be done separate and apart from what we're doing?
Yeah, I think it's a separate process as far as I understand.
But knowing how this sort of thing can take time, we could do a resolution with a condition that the lots be merged within some period
Absolutely.
of time, I guess.
Absolutely, no problem.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I think we should assume that would be the case because we can't wait, no reason to hold this up waiting for that, so.
Right, right. All right, that sounds like a plan. Okay, it doesn't sound like we have anything major really to address. Since you already have, we were just talking before we came live that we don't have anything on the agenda for our next meeting. But it sounds like you all might be ready to come back to us since you already submitted some plans. But I would ask you just double check and make sure all the comments are addressed. And then if that's the case, we could probably put you on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay.
Is that okay with everybody? Ashley's nodding, Teresa only see the top of it, but it's not. Teresa's nodding. All right, okay. All right, so that's how we'll proceed going forward. But just double check anything and obviously to us as quickly as you can so that everybody has a chance to review everything before the next meeting.
And I will need a hard copy of what you sent if you're going to leave it as is, what you sent today. If not, just whatever you update, we will need one set. No.
We're going to resubmit after we check for the trees. Like I'm going to make sure you're one version, not two.
Yeah, great. Just make sure if everything's clean, then you have one more meeting. If not, you'll have to come back. Okay, that's incentive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody have anything else they wanted to say?
You just might let them know, Kathy, to check because it might be an in-person meeting.
Maybe. An in-person meeting, right. We'll keep everybody informed. The governor's order to have a Zoom meeting is expiring next week, I mean. So we could do a hybrid meeting with some people in person and some people on Zoom, but we're not sure. This is all up in the air. Somebody has to give us more information before we make a determination on how we're doing this. We have to make sure we're just following the rules and the law. So just be aware that the next meeting may be in person in the courthouse.
What is the cutoff for everybody to have time to review the items we receive? If there are any changes that they need to make, what would you say would be the cutoff to receive those items?
That would be John will probably have the most to review. So you already got a head start.
Yeah, I'm all set from what I saw Mike submitted today. I think they've addressed all my issues.
So if things come in next week. I don't know when Susan is available. She's not here to speak, but it doesn't sound like there's anything major in her comments, so we should be able to accommodate that as well.
Okay.
So,
Does June 14th sound reasonable? That gives us time to type everything, or Teresa time to do the resolution.
Yes, Teresa, well, Teresa can start on
I would
that.
much appreciate it. Yes, please.
Okay, today's the 8th, that's next, so that would be next Tuesday. Right, yeah, okay, good. All right, everybody, all right, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to the end of our meeting. Once again, a very short agenda. And if no one has anything else for today, then can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And second?
Second.
Second by Ellen. Okay, we'll just do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, good night, everybody.
Night, thank you.
Good all.
Bye.